Hello, class. Hello, class. For anyone who's curious, this right here is a painting of Ophelia from Hamlet, drowning. I sleep with this over my head. That's normal, right? Today we're going to start the class video with some business. I read everything you guys posted on the Blackboard about how this class is working for you and how this class or classes in general could work better. And I've created a plan for how we're going to be making some slight changes to this class moving forward. And then after that, we are going to talk about the My Bad Literature Review exercise that I asked you all to do and what I hoped you were going to get out of that. The first thing that I want to do is thank everybody. You have all been so kind and respectful and patient in this really difficult process, and I can't emphasize enough how much of a difference it's made for me to have you all treat me so kindly through all of this, and to know that I have this class that I can be honest about the fact that I'm still learning how to do this and be honest with you all about what my intentions are and still be met with a lot of respect. I'm really glad to hear that I have had a positive effect on your experience, because that is really my only goal at the moment. Even to see the way that you were responding to each other in your peer reviews, you were so kind and open and respectful with each other, and I just feel like I am so lucky to have the students that I have. So you should know that I appreciate you all and that I am really happy to be your teacher. That brings me to the things that we want to change about this class. The most frequent and perhaps only requests that I received about this class in particular is that you'd like for it to be more interactive. So I'm going to make it a priority in the way that I formulate this class for the next portfolio that happens. Which brings me to the question of the day. An idea that was floated a couple of times that I kind of love was the possibility of creating some sort of informal chat that we can use for you all to talk to each other and for me to be somewhat present. I think that's a fabulous idea, and I would be more than willing to set something like that up. So your question of the day is, if I was to set up some sort of informal chat, like through a social media or something, what would you like it to be? I think possibly the most accessible one would be Facebook, but I'm really open to your suggestions because I'm sure you know about platforms that I don't. There's an ant. I don't remember what I was saying because of the ant. Leave a comment below telling me what sort of platform you guys would like to use to increase communication a little bit more, and I will work to set that up for everyone. There are some other changes that are going to come up. The most important one for you to know about right now is that I'm using my executive power as the teacher to change the schedule from Monday, Wednesday, Friday to Tuesday, Friday. I'm really glad to hear that the consistency of the schedule is helping everyone to maintain a routine. Unfortunately, in order to keep the workload relatively equal for you all, it has severely increased mine. I know these videos are short, but they take a long time to make. There's usually about an hour of filming, and then I edit them down. And then, unfortunately, what's been happening with that is that I haven't had the time to be reading your Blackboard posts in the way that I like to. So what that means from a teacher's perspective is that I don't have the opportunity to honor the work that you're doing, in a sense. So if I can't read what you're writing for class in time for me to use it to prepare for the next one, it decreases the usefulness of the assignments that you're doing. And that's the last thing that I want. I don't want to give you guys busy work just to keep you on a consistent schedule, because when we were in person, we were meeting Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I like to be as transparent as I can with you all, so I'm telling you, this is so that I have time to do the work. And this is so that I have time to respect you all as my students. We're going to switch to a Tuesday, Friday schedule. Everything else will remain the same. So on Tuesday, you're going to do the same thing that you would on a Monday or Wednesday and post your assignments by class time and respond to 2 of them by 6 p.m. I also recognize that some of you may have prior commitments or obligations on Tuesdays, especially on Tuesday mornings or Tuesday afternoons, and I want to respect that in any way that works. So if that is the case, let me know and we can work something out. I just can't continue to do 3 videos per week, and I'm really sorry about that. I wish that I could. And I am going to start posting transcripts or outlines of my videos. I'm going to start typing them up, and I'll make a folder under course materials so that if you need something visual or you need help following along, that's an option. That is also something that was requested and a totally easy accommodation for me to make. So that's going to be starting hopefully with this video. And lastly, I'm really excited about this one. So like I said in my original letter to you all when we found out that class was moving online, I would love to meet on Zoom, but my Wi-Fi can't handle it. But I think I found a way around all of that. In the next portfolio schedule, I'm going to work in at least 2 days where instead of me posting a video, we're going to have some sort of video chat meeting. I am going to have to break you up into groups of 11, but I think that meeting with half the class at a time is better than not getting to see you guys at all. Next, a university-wide change has just been made where you can now elect in 2 pass-fail options for your classes. I want to take a minute and talk about what this option means, both in general and in terms of our class. One, I think that this is a really important step that the university has taken and possibly even necessary. It's definitely a valid option to take and not one that is going to hurt your GPA. A very important distinction that has been made with this specific pass-fail option is that you can elect to take classes that are university general education requirements or classes for your major as pass-fail classes. This is not the usual. Normally, pass-fail options are only for classes that do not meet any specific requirements and are more for just filling up your credits, essentially. There's a little more nitty-gritty stuff that I know a bit about and would be happy to share with all of you, but I don't want to waste your time if you don't need me to explain this. So do let me know if you'd like me to address this again in another video and I can talk about more of the specifics. That was a whole lot of business to get through, but the gist of it is class is moving to a Tuesday, Friday schedule effective next week. And so what that means is that the only scheduling change for this portfolio is that your final portfolio is now due next Tuesday instead of next Monday. I'm going to start posting video outlines or transcripts under course materials in a specific folder. And in the next portfolio, I'm going to include at least 2 days of video chats and video conferences. That's the most important stuff. So moving on to the actual assignment for today, I had you all read my bad literature review about Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed and post your revisions based on the information that I gave you. I want to explain what I wanted you guys to get out of this, what the purpose of the assignment was, so that we're all on the same page. So there were 3 main problems with the chunk of text that I sent you. 1 was that I didn't introduce my quote properly. 2 was that I didn't unpack it. And 3 was that I drew an illogical conclusion. And the result of me not doing those things was that when you first read the paragraph that I sent you, you had no way to know where the quote was coming from or any background information on it. You didn't know whether or not you should trust it. And I can't promise, but I'm assuming that you didn't understand what the quotes meant. So when I drew that illogical conclusion, nothing made sense at all. Nothing made sense to begin with, and nothing made sense in the end. And I like to do this because it takes you out of the perspective of looking at your own research over and over and over again. It can be really easy to forget what you need to explain and what other people will already know. So when you're asking yourself, how much do I really need to say about this? You can now think back on this experience that you had where you're reading my writing about pedagogy of the oppressed, and you don't know anything that I'm talking about. You don't know what banking model education is. You don't know what problem posing education is. And so when you read what I gave you without any explanation or introduction, you had no idea what was going on. And that is the case with your audience and your literature review. When I followed up with information on the background of Paulo Freire, that should have made it a little bit more clear to you as the reader why this man is important and why I bother reading his books or following his theories when I teach. And so that's a good thing to remember when you're introducing your quotes is how did your perspective on Paulo Freire change when I explained who he was? And how can you do what you did in this revision in order to introduce him and explain why he matters in your own literature review? When we got to the next page about defining terms and explaining your quotes, what I want to make sure comes across is that it's really helpful when you're unpacking your quotes to have that kind of close attention to detail. So I asked you guys specifically to talk about this word and what does this word mean and what does this word mean. That's a strategy called close reading because you're really like nitpicking about what the individual words mean. Why did they pick this word instead of this other one? Why did they explain this person or this concept this way instead of this other way that you can do it? It's something that you guys have already been doing just a little bit, but the more attention to detail you have in quotations, especially ones like that can be a little bit confusing, the better. My favorite part of this assignment is when I ask you to draw your own conclusions about banking models of education and problem posing models of education. Usually this happens in a class and I break you up into groups, and I love to see the conversations that happen about like what you're actually learning when you study for a multiple choice test and like when you would benefit more from a banking style of education versus a problem posing style of education. Paulo Freire is personally really very much in favor of problem posing education, but some students have found in the past that there are different disciplines where the banking model is really effective. Some students can study really well for a multiple choice question test, and they like to defend the merits of that, where some students work better with open-ended questions or with essay writing, and they like to express their frustration with what they find a multiple choice test really asks of students. So I am mourning the fact that we don't get to have that conversation, but I think that it would be a really great one to continue in the response section of your Blackboard posts. That's all that I have for class today. I am really excited to see what you guys did with my bad literature review and how your revisions turned out. Remember to leave a comment below saying where you would most like to have an informal sort of chat arrangement set up so that you guys can talk to each other more easily. I hope you're all happy and healthy and staying entertained, and I will see you again on Friday.